Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of You Had Us at Damn. And today we are talking about movies, specifically comic book movies.
Yeah, this is an argument that we've been having for just ever since we even started the podcast. That, you know what I mean? There's a bit of an oversaturation of comic book. That's what Mo believes, even though most of his opinions are wrong.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But,
coming in hot.
Yeah.
But, we'll get into it, right? Let's talk about the sheer, no matter who you are, you have encountered a comic book movie, right? You have seen your Batmans, your Iron Mans, right? Your Supermans. This industry is absolutely huge.
Hit us with the stats, bro.
Okay, I'll hit you. You made me Mr. Stats, man. It was cool. I think the total size of the industry at the moment was about $31.6 billion. Of that, the breakdown is kind of sad if you look at it, because it's 26.5 is Disney and then 5.8 is DC. Those numbers may not work out. I said about, but those numbers may not add up to what I thought. But it's about roundabout there. Got these statistics from Statista, so if you think I'm wrong, go after them. Okay, not me. But yeah, it's just from this we can definitely tell that Disney and with Marvel has definitely cornered the market and has captured a huge amount of it. They basically have been creating cultural moments with these movies, and some of our favorite moments have happened. Recently, we went to go watch Guardians, not together because this man is a loser, but I went with people I actually liked, and it was a great time, fantastic movie, honestly.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I completely just loved it. Most said I can't say anything about the movie, even though it's been old, it's been out for a while now, but all I can say is that I really enjoyed it. It was a very emotional experience, and I was like,
shout out to the best Guardian. We all know who that is, right? But then there were also other movies that came out this year. Oh, if you think, we're only going to be talking about movies that came out this year. With movies that came out last year, we kind of already spoke about those in an earlier episode. You can check out on our Spotify and stuff like that. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, you can check it out there. It's our 2022 year in review. We went over all that other good stuff, so you can check it out there. But this year there was another movie that came out earlier, Ant-Man.
yo, guys, it's...
I personally didn't go watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, for me, personally, it landed on my desktop somehow. Somehow I got to watch it, and it was just one of those things where I was just like, oh, how did that get there? And I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to, we'll be honest. But on the other hand, though, it's still good stuff. It's still Marvel.
I don't know, man.
It's still pumping.
I don't know, dude. I am just kind of getting tired of these superhero movies. And okay, let me be specific, right? I am getting tired of Disney and the Marvel machine, right? Because they keep pumping out content at such an incessant rate where you as a viewer have no time to breathe. And not only that, there is exposure. When you get overexposed to something, you lose sensitivity to it. It stops feeling like a moment, right? Disney could come out today with 10 series. They're there's a couple series they have in the works right now. They have the new Fury one. They have, they're coming back with Loki. There's a bunch of
Secret Invasion,
exactly. There's a bunch of series and movies that they have planned in the works that I, on the one hand, want to be excited about.
Yeah.
But I just can't.
Nah, but here's the thing. I get that. I know Phase 4 was a lot. But think about all the phases that have come before it. He needed to bring something new. You know what I mean? The faces of Marvel are gone, literally. They're not around as much as they used. Tony Stark, rest in peace. He left us, and in the MCU does need to continue. So we needed Phase 4. I'm gonna be honest. Here's why.
Okay.
Because, hear me out, we're bringing everything back together because a huge cultural moment just happened with Endgame. And with all of that, they need to establish new stories the way that they did with phase 1. And even though some of it might not relate and they might not connect as strongly and all of that, and there's no, like, how can I say, people complain about phase 4 because there's no overarching general direction, yet there is a consistent tone of we're in a mess even after, everyone's saved. And that's what they kind of drove in. I know phase 4 had 5 times as much content than any other phases combined. But okay, not combined, but like in each phase. But they needed that. Think about it. They were starting Disney Plus. Remember that? And it was 2020. I mean, it was like, post 2020, which is like COVID hit. You know what I mean? There was that time where people were not comfortable coming back to the cinema. The cinema industry was at its brink. You know what I'm saying? Stay Kinko, they were rescue,
business rescue.
Business rescue. So they were it was tough to the point that now we don't even get, cardboard, it's plastic now. Everyone hears it when you get into the cinemas. It's like that's what COVID brought. And we needed to have something. Disney needed to bring us back into the seats. And that's what they did. And they also needed to bring us into Disney Plus. And that is also what they did.
All right. So I'm going to come at you, right, on each of your points. So 1, Disney Plus, right? Cool. 2, they needed to make a lot because, right, they were trying to introduce these new characters, okay? Cool.
Yeah.
And then 3, right, it was a tough time. They were trying to save the film industry in general, right? Fair. You know what? On that last one, I will give you that. A lot of the film industry did kind of just was being held up by Disney and the superhero industry during the times of COVID, right? But there was also a lot of independent films as well that were released during that time that also did a lot in order to generate buzz and help these industries, right? But then also, it also came with a pivot to streaming, right? That's currently why the writers' strike is happening, because of this pivot to streaming. That, another topic, but we stand with the Hollywood writers. We stand with you. The pivot to streaming was going to happen either way. It's just that COVID kind of forced it to happen quicker, right? But okay, cool. So that point, I'll kind of actually now semi-give it to you, right? But then, in the point of they're trying to introduce us to new characters, new street level characters, right? Like, I get it, right? You need to, not everything is going to be a huge culture moment. The problem is, I'm not the one treating it like that. Disney is, right? No matter what you watch, they're like, oh, we're gonna have series, movie, series, movie. And the way they present it is, don't worry, this series is gonna be relevant for this movie. Some way, somehow. We all watched WandaVision before we watched Doctor Strange.
Oh, Doctor
right?
Strange, yeah.
We all watched it, and I know I said I wasn't going to mention last year, but I kind of have to for this point because not much has happened this year yet. We all watched WandaVision before we watched Quantumania, and we saw what happened there. You could have just gone into Doctor Strange without having watched WandaVision. Yeah, it wouldn't have. You still could have, right? The way Disney treats it is that these series are beginning and end. If you don't watch it, you really won't know what's going on. You have to see it, and it's like, no, you don't. One of the best parts of Marvel Phase 1 was that, yeah, there was your Captain America, there was your Iron Man, there was your Hulk and stuff like that. But I know so many people who hadn't seen the Hulk movie, right? Because that movie is part of the MCU, by the way, who hadn't seen that and then went in the Avengers like, yo, that's Hulk, that's cool, right? Because Hulk is a well-known character.
Yeah.
It is fun to discover a character in a film. You don't need to introduce them individually like that. And what that does is, right, because you're introducing so many characters at once, people are going to pick and choose, and unfortunately if they pick wrong, it's going to lead to them just not liking anything else, right? Think about if someone in Phase 4 was like, okay, there's a bunch of series coming out right now, right? There's Captain and Falcon, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, no, I don't want to start with these established heroes. Of the unestablished, there was who? She-Hulk?
Yeah.
Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel, I liked personally, right? A lot of people didn't, and I completely understand the reasons why they didn't, but that's, again, not a topic for this episode. I liked it personally, but She-Hulk was so... What's your argument? You see my point,
okay,
right?
yeah, I get that, but we also got Moon Knight. I mean, you know what I mean?
Moon Knight again, that was
Loki. We got, you know what I'm saying? These are stuff that, okay, if we're doing the old way of Marvel doing his stuff, it's like, okay, once in a while, we wouldn't have had, we would have gotten like back all the way to like 2025 or 2024.
And my thing is, what is wrong with that? If everything that is released is quality, what is wrong with that? We are willing, and we did wait for 2 years for seasons for The Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And no one can claim that is a comic book thing, but in case you didn't know, it's based on a comic book. But that goes to my other point, is that Disney is focusing too much on the comic book aspect, but I'll let you respond to this first. The Boys, we waited like 2 years in between seasons, and it's a fantastic show, and no one can claim it isn't.
Yeah.
Because it's so well done. And the quality of the time it takes for them to make it shows.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I won't even lie. That is a good point. But at the same time, it's Marvel. No one has done it like them. They've reached unprecedented levels of success in terms of creating culture moments, as you've said. You know, Endgame, everyone was there. You know what I'm saying? It's like the opposite of 9/11. You know what I mean? That okay.
Whoa. Okay.
Here's what I mean. It was very happy. It was a very happy moment that everyone remembers in movies.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you see? I saved it.
Nice save.
I saved it. I swerved from that building. But
Our
anyway.
producer right now is going crazy.
But anyway. Okay. Through Marvel's unprecedented success, they've had a lot of highs. They've really done the most, which, like, you know, is what the standard is. And as a result, they have so much scrutiny that right now people don't think that they can live up to what they once did, which in actuality they don't need to. And that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to move things forward through the name of Marvel. So they needed to pump out. Listen, they needed to pump out so they could start the streaming service, Disney Plus.
Right.
Am I wrong there?
No, you are right in that it was necessary for it to get Disney Plus off the ground, because otherwise Disney Plus would have only had Star Wars content, which Star Wars fans are Star Wars fans. That's an established audience.
Yeah.
Right.
Mandalorian.
Good, bad, like no, if you are a Star Wars fan, you are a Star Wars fan. If you haven't seen Mandalorian and stuff like that, it means you probably aren't interested in that universe, and that is okay.
Yeah.
But then, what else would have been there? Okay, South African here, remember?
Yeah.
We don't get the Hulu deal. We don't get the Hulu bundle.
Yeah.
So we would have only had the Disney content and maybe a couple stuff that they took from Fox during that merger.
Yeah.
And just a couple random one-off shows and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So the content base would have been pretty empty, and there would have been no reason for us to subscribe, right? But then I would like to raise, again, Amazon Prime, because their content is probably more limited than Disney Plus, but I have seen no one complain about a subscription. Not a single person. Every person who subscribed to Disney Plus tells me that at some point, I'm done. I came here for one show and I'm done, right? Whereas Amazon Plus, Apple TV Plus, which I am a subscriber to, like, you know, they take the approach of quality over quantity, and it shows. You don't need to pump out all these different shows if the quality of each individual show is gonna fall off. Can I tell you, Disney, it's not related to superheroes, but they made a How I Met Your Father, and it was so bad that you don't know about it. Exactly, right?
No, I've seen it.
Oh, damn.
I've seen it. It wasn't the best.
Right.
The best.
How I Met Your Mother, fantastic show. People love it. It's nostalgic. It's good, right? How I Met Your Father, no one talks about it. Was rushed. Didn't really feel like a spiritual success to the show in any way. But that is my point. That didn't need to be a thing, but it was because they needed to fill up this service. These series are being pumped out, and the most crucial aspect to me that kills me is that you're saying they're building on the strength of Marvel. I say Marvel was built on the strength of its characters, and they're losing that. Like, they are not building on their characters, they are building on the brand, and that's the problem, right? Because when we take the flip side and look at what's happening in the DC universe, right? They're doing the exact same thing right now with Shazam, right? It's just copying the formula, right? The first movie people liked, and they thought, okay, it's probably a good direction for DC, and then it continues, and it's just DC now. It's just becoming Marvel Part 2.
That's true. That is true. With DC, they are trying to do a Marvel Part 2, but one thing I am hurt as a Marvel fan, which I'm actually also I'm excited as a comic book fan, but I'm hurt as a Marvel fan. The one thing I'm really hurt as a Marvel fan is the James Gunn transfer.
Okay.
Because here's why I say.
Tell us about it. Who's James Gunn?
Oh, James Gunn is an incredible director who's worked on the Guardians of the Galaxy movies as well as Peacemaker, and he's basically got fired because he said, what did he do? He just got cancelled, so Marvel had to let him go, and they did. Disney picked him up. Warner Brothers picked him up, and then now he's the CEO of DC, and having who he is, like being the director and all of that, and he has such great ideas and great movies that, like, you know, just has such a nuanced style. I know that he is the antidote to the situation, because I'm not gonna lie, the Disney thing, you've got me dead to rights, is like they're over pumping all of that stuff, but comic books aren't being oversaturated because they're bringing different stories now. We're having more highlights of, as you've mentioned, The Boys. You know what I'm saying? That show is coming in, and it's like it was also such a moment in terms of, okay, The Boys was such a great show, and it was nothing like Marvel, and it was so different. As well as Peacemaker, same thing. Peacemaker is John Cena stars in it. It's on DC and all of that. They created a different tone, and they emphasizing characters. And when we go back to that in terms of comic book movies, we will never lose the era, because when it's, as you said, if it's based off of characters, that's what will allow us to move forward. That's what will allow us to enjoy more moments like Guardians of the Galaxy or Black Panther, because it was based off of the characters and the way we feel about them. Not, we're tired of seeing the biggest explosions and all of that stuff. We want to see a proper story. Like you, I think Batman in itself. Can you see?
You can't even talk. Don't even. For audience context, we haven't seen it. This man fell asleep in the Batman. Specifically, Matt Reeves' Batman. One of the best movies to come out last year, and it was great. But but make your point.
Here's my point. Is that Batman was a noir-based movie that was on Batman. You know what I'm saying? It was on that context.
It was a noir film first, Batman second.
Exactly.
That was what made it fantastic.
So beautifully shot, so beautifully directed. And now, if we keep on pumping out movies that bring that, like Guardians of the Galaxy, it was like family first, and you know, you could see the characters and all the advances that went in that space. And it's like, if we have more stories like that, I'm excited to see what movies and TV shows that we can actually really bring. Moon Knight highlights it on mental illnesses. You know what I'm saying? They brought in that element. Of course, it was the same type of, how can I say, Marvel Disney Plus terrible, you know, pacing. But in actuality, they are emphasizing characters, and I'm still happy for the comic book era that we're in, because we can agree that there's exciting stuff. For example,
Okay. At time of recording, it's not out yet. Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. Like, I am super excited about that myself, right? But okay, wait, just to close up, before we start talking about the stuff we're really excited for coming out, I just want to close off my argument, right?
All right. All right. Yeah. Go.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, right? But I don't agree in that they're doing character-focused stories. I think that is my main problem, is that they aren't, right? They're just making a lot of characters, but they aren't focusing on them. Why James Gunn's work on the Suicide Squad? I know it's a confusing name because it's Suicide Squad. Why James Gunn work on Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy? Why that works so well is because he made them character-driven stories. The story of the villain of the latest Guardians of the Galaxy movie basically doesn't matter. Almost doesn't matter as much as the characters themselves and their interpersonal relationships. That is the whole focus in that movie, and the characters' drive and their individual arcs. I am saying I love superhero movies. I'm a geek to the core. I read, I have, like, you've been to my room, I have like comics and stuff. You know, I love this, but my main problem is that they aren't giving these characters the space they need to breathe. And you can definitely agree on that.
I can agree on that.
Yeah,
I can truly agree on that. But at the end of the day, we're still in the era. We're not tired. We're tired of the bad ones.
We're tired of the bad ones, but the bad ones are the majority. and that is a fact. But anyway, let's talk about stuff we're looking forward to.
I think he may have won it.
Who knows?
But,
Right, yeah.
We'll see. You guys actually have to decide. Are we tired or are we not? But after we get into that, let's talk about what we're really looking forward to.
Across the Spider-Verse, that is my favorite superhero, Miles Morales. Specifically, Sony's depiction of him in the 2018.
2018.
Yeah, 2018 film. Sorry, that is my favorite version of Spider-Man. I love him to bits, and the movie is coming out.
Guys, this guy has been planning this event for months. Like he's rallied up. I think we're gonna have
It's like 50 something people at the moment that are going to
people.
the
Last
theater.
I checked, it was like 26. Like we're filling up that. We're getting tickets. We're making sure that we're there. IMAX, right?
Yeah, IMAX, 100%.
Yeah.
The thing is, Sony did a terrible job in the first run of the movie. No one knew about it, and now they've come back and they're like, okay, because it became such a cultural hit, they given it the rights it needs, right? Like they even delayed it by a year just for polish. Another point in my favor. They delayed it by a year just to polish it, right? Because it was done. It was done since last year. They were just like, no, we just gotta fix it up, right? That is amazing. That is beautiful, and I'm so excited. And because of that, because this is only part 1 that's coming out this year, part 2 is coming out next year. So it's like I don't have to wait, and I don't have to wait a year. I don't have to skip a year.
They might polish again. But anyway.
Damn. Okay.
But what else is there? There's also what? There's Ezra
no.
Ezra Miller.
I hate that trailer looks good.
I hate that too. But you know what I'm saying? It gives me hope for DC. As I was saying, James Gunn, I hope that he brings more character-based, approaches. As we've discussed now, that okay, as long as it's more character-based, that's what's gonna keep us on the right direction. But I'm looking forward to the Flash and what DC has, because they have a ton of stories. They have a lot to work with.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The Flash is just eesh.
Yeah.
So the thing is, that is the reason why they couldn't cancel that movie, is because James Gunn did say he's gonna kind of use it as a jumping off point to reset the universe.
Yeah.
Right. Personally, Ezra Miller is a terrible person.
You're gonna watch it?
I do not know, but Ezra Miller is a terrible person. That's what I know. But I am excited for Blue Beetle, which is also.
Oh, that came out. That
looks good too.
But it looks very Marvel-esque though.
It's very Marvel-esque, but it's okay. It's Marvel-esque intro film. Normally, no one complains about Marvel's intro films. Their introductory films to a character are rarely ever bad, because it doesn't need to do much. It just introduces you to a character, right? But yeah, we're coming up on a really exciting time in the world of comic book movies. Matt Reeves is working on a sequel as well to his Batman.
And he's also, there's actually going to be a Penguin TV show.
Exactly, right. That's huge. There's just these quality stuff. This quality is coming through, and I love it so much. The Boys is coming back this year. Invincible is coming back this year. Just amazing.
Just keep on coming. Yet you're saying that we're getting too much.
Okay. No, okay. Let me end it off on this. Right? let's and I'll leave you. I want you to try and come up with a response to this, right?
All right. Look at the camera, man.
Let me talk. I'm so sorry. I forgot about you. I'm sorry. Disney is really successful. Incredibly successful. I would say too successful. Because of the money they have generated off of the Marvel acquisition and what they have done to the MCU, they have made ridiculous amounts of money. And the problem is they're a publicly traded company and they have investors to please. And you can't have record profits and just cut it off there. You need to keep making more. So Disney is in this position where, because of who they are and what they've taught their investors to expect, they just have to keep making more. And that's the problem. I see that COVID was a thing that impacted Phase 4, but that is another thing as well, where regardless of it, they need to keep pumping more.
Yeah, struggling with success. Anyways.
Yeah.
A lot was said.
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
This is another episode of
Yeah,
Had a Set Damn.